Hello. Well, I wouldn't dare to say that I'm assessment literate. What I can say is that I am in the process of learning how to better assess. I understand assessment as a very complex process that plays a fundamental role in the aim of teaching and learning. But being this fundamental doesn't mean that it is easy. On the contrary, I consider it requires lots of analysis, inquiry, planning, and so on. In my case, I consider I'm doing part of the work that good practices of assessment require, starting from the idea that through assessment I can help my students learn and I can help myself to better plan my classes or adjust some of them if necessary. I also understand and try to incorporate both summative and formative assessment in my classes. In regards to formative assessment, I can say that I assess students on an ongoing process and help them to form their competences so that they are able to continue learning based on appropriate feedback. And about summative assessment, I apply standardized tests at the end of each term to summarize what the students have learned and to be able to recognize how, from general considerations, the program is working or not. I consider assessment a rich source of information to better learn and teach, but I know there are many concepts and practice to work on in my classes to consider myself as an assessment literate, but I'm willing to learn, definitely. Some pressing concerns when it comes to assessment in my context are: one, how difficult it is to provide students with personalized feedback when you have 40 or more students in one classroom. Brown suggests that personalized feedback is part of alternative assessing, and I find it positive in the purpose of better assessing. I know students might have some common necessities, but there are also individual ones, and not counting with enough time or much time to devote to each student makes it tough. However, I try to find a way to solve it or at least to minimize this situation by organizing my schedule to pay special attention to groups of students per lesson. That way I can identify their weaknesses and their strengths, and then I can provide them with accurate and descriptive feedback. Anyway, it is still an issue to me. On the other hand, I understand how assessing implies gathering data from a student's performance, and there are instruments to do so, but what I find concerning is how to analyze and make good inferences from that data. I mean, there are many variables to take into consideration when assessing. I can say a student achieved a goal or didn't do so based only on his performance without considering contextual aspects. For example, a student might not be working to his best, but there can be also personal issues interfering. What if that student didn't sleep well or had any problematic situations at home? What if he didn't have breakfast before coming to school? What I think is that assessing and interpreting data should be seen immersed in a whole. We are not assessing the individual, but we are assessing the individual in a context. That's what I think, and that's what makes it a little bit difficult to me. I'm planning to better plan assessment. Considering assessment part of the instructional process, it should take the same importance as any other planning instructional part. I'm going to set clearly the rules for students to know what the nature of assessment is, what they are expected to do. Because even when I do it, I don't think I'm doing it as explicit as it should be. I'm planning to evaluate assessment activities so that they comply with the cardinal criteria suggested by Brown, to see if the activities measure what I want them to measure, to see if they have positive effects on students' motivation, to be aware of the importance of their authenticity, and etc. In sum, I will continue enriching my knowledge about sound assessment to implement better practices in my classes, and all this depending on my students' needs and the context where I teach. Thank you.